Hey everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Criterion Watch for Indie Film Cafe. I'm your old pal, the Moo Cow, and as usual, I'm joined by
Jonathan A. Moody, your co-host.
And together we are joined by, for the first time...
Hi, I'm Rachel.
Yay!
Yay.
Welcome, Rachel. All right.
Welcome.
And we are here to watch the 2013 Noah Baumbach movie, Frances Ha.
Frances Ha.
Frances Ha. And it's a fun, quirky movie about fun, quirky people, and I just...
Doing fun, quirky things?
Yeah,
Fun,
kind of,
quirky
sort of.
dancing.
Oh, that's
And
brilliant.
I saw it years ago, and I just was like, this is so cool. And I've been wanting to do this for a while, and finally, it came out in Criterion. So, we are going to cover it. And we will be back right after the little fade out.
Yeah.
Right? You do a fade out.
We do a little fade out.
All right. Bye. So we are back. All right. So Frances Ha.
Frances Ha.
I'm dying to know, Moody. This was your first time seeing this,
Yeah,
right?
and I was wondering where the ha came from, because they do say ha ha or whatever
Right.
a lot. So I was like, oh, is that it? And then it's literally
The
at the
reveals at the very end,
end.
which I love.
It's the it's the Citizen Kane Rosebud at the end. You know, kind of wondering, but anyway, I liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a quirky movie, and I genuinely love that character to bits. And I feel so bad for her. I have all these like protective feelings for her. I just want things to work out for her because she's just happy being herself and being an individual, even if that individual is just kind of out of step with everybody else around her. That just makes her more endearing, and I completely understand that, you know, being my weird cow self.
She's authentically herself.
Yeah, she's authentic, and you shouldn't be punished for being your authentic self.
Well, I mean, it's a society thing, right?
It is.
So like society dictates certain norms that people have, and if you have these little quirks like she does and everything, society won't generally appreciate it.
And it's tougher to do that in New York City, where it's so expensive to live, and you have to find a place to live, and it's, you know, finding jobs, and she has to go through all of that. And adulting is hard as it is, so...
Yeah.
But
and you saw that tension with her friend,
Yes.
Sophie, because Sophie's sort of very much on what you would call the traditional society track. She finds the good boyfriend who makes good money. They get engaged. They go get married. She moves for his career. That's all very typical.
Yeah.
even though his name is Patch, which
He's
should have been a red
Patch.
flag.
Well, I mean, you know, I don't. Is that a nickname or is that really his name? Like, I don't know.
I get the feeling it's his
It's
name.
maybe his last name is something like Patch, and then they gave him Patches as a nickname. Who
I
knows?
almost expected somewhere along the line in the script that they might have said something like, "Oh, his parents were big Patch Adams fans" or something like that.
Yeah.
You know,
That movie came out in like the 90s.
I know.
Oh, okay. All right, whatever. Anyway.
But
I
you got to see this before.
I have.
But it had been a while, right?
It'd been a while, and I had forgotten that she went to Paris in the middle of it.
For the heck of it.
For the heck of it, yeah. I remembered that she was a dancer, and that eventually she ends up choreographing, which I thought was a really nice arc for her. And it's so normal, and what you see with a lot of dancers, that if you cannot be successful being a professional dancer, you often move to choreography. So
And yeah,
That's a
talk a
familiar
little bit
route.
about that, because you have familiarity with dance, right?
yeah, so I danced when I was young. Ballet, tap, jazz, ballroom with my mother 2 summers, and I still do ballet. And I got to a point where I was kind of taller than everybody else, and I hit puberty, and my curves were not quite, you know, normal for ballerina at the time. I had glasses I couldn't see. I couldn't wear these on stage. So I got to the point where I was like, well, I'm not going to fit that traditional ballerina mold, so being a professional dancer I don't think is going to be for me. I didn't go to choreography, I just went to college. But it's something now as an adult. I've gone back to ballet, I still do dance, and
Still in your life.
still in my life. And when my teacher does choreograph something, I'm the note taker, so I write it down so we remember
Like
the
the
choreography.
secretary?
I'm the
That's
cool.
secretary. And I'm trying to learn notation so that if I do ever want to choreograph, because sometimes I hear music and I think, I would really love to do something to that. I don't have, anybody to be my dancers, but be my puppets.
Actually,
maybe one day.
something like martial arts would be another thing too, because they're very similar.
Yeah.
You know?
I did karate for like years when I was a kid and stuff, and then I became an adult and I was so out of shape, and I tried it again and it did not work.
But and the same thing I mentioned with models, it's all body language and how you move it, and being conscious of your body and just
all your
doing
small
things.
muscles, all your small muscles, and models especially muscles in their face, how they can change their faces.
Mm-hmm. So, what did you guys think of the character of Frances herself?
I was gonna say I love Frances, but
I
mostly
do
because
too.
I relate to her in that sort of quirkiness and being a dancer that doesn't necessarily quite fit in the mold that you want to be in, and I think a lot of people would relate to Frances because you're still trying to find yourself even in your late 20s, and I think to normalize that is important because you can be finding yourself your whole life, not just in your 20s.
And Moody, you were saying you kind of weren't cutting her some slack.
No, I mean, there were times where, like, especially with her relationship with her best friend, I felt like at times she wasn't being sort of fair. She was
a little possessive.
Yeah, she was being a little bit more.
I think she was just anxious, really anxious of the idea of facing life without her friend. That's like an integral part of her, and if she loses that, it's like, well, what am I going to do? And there are people who are like that, who they attach themselves so much to one person, whether it's male, female, friend, lover, whatever. And when they lose that, they lose so much of themselves that they have to go and find themselves again. And that's kind of what I think the movie's about.
It didn't work with the two guys because, like, I think that's what she tried to do. She tried to replace
so many
her.
substitutes.
Yeah, it was the two guys, and it was Rachael.
And it was the Rachael and the people like from Paris and things like that. So all these different people in her life, and
it makes
just
sense.
never. It didn't work. Like, she could never have the relationship.
Right. Oh, and then one of the best scenes is when she's finally, she's with the one person, the Meryl Streep daughter, from the company. Yeah, and she's like, "Oh, do you ever want to play fight?" And the other one's like, "No." She says, "Oh no, it'll be fun," because she's trying to do the same thing that she did and trying to force her into this box that she's not going to fit and fails miserably.
Yeah, they're completely different people, and so
she doesn't get that.
Yeah, she needs to find what makes it work within them. Maybe it doesn't, know, and I think she finds that out. Even though she's still friends with Rachael or whatever, Rachael, I don't think really cared about her like that.
Not really.
No. Because I think she was the one who came up to her at the end of the party and was like, "You're leaving? Where the fuck are you going?" or whatever. And so she really didn't care, about her like that, But
more like casual acquaintance than dear friend.
Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of a sad story.
It is. It is.
It's bittersweet.
It is bittersweet.
Frances' story.
So it was really well done, and Greta Gerwig was fantastic. I totally fell in love with her character. I want to see more of her as an actress. I'm glad that she's gone off and become a successful director. It was pointed out that she also wrote, at least part of the film too, so that's great.
She co-wrote the film.
She's clearly a major talent. I just miss seeing her up on the screen.
She's married to Noah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's married to Noah Baumbach. They co-wrote this. They co-wrote Barbie. She directed Barbie, which I'm very glad she directed Barbie and not Noah.
I'll probably see it someday.
That's probably the reason.
You have to see it, Paul. It's very good.
I'll see it someday. It's just I never played Barbie, so.
Well, it's not necessarily about that.
I know.
To segue for just a moment, there's this one moment in the Barbie movie where she's talking to Ruth, who is the creator of Barbie, and she said, "Mothers stand still so that their daughters can see how far they've come." And that just, as a historian, that just got me. It was a Greta moment. You could tell Greta orchestrated that.
Okay.
It was beautiful. You got to see it. It's my shameless plug.
All right.
But this movie, you can tell like a man and a woman both wrote it. There are scenes that feel like both.
Well, the relationship stuff definitely felt like it was written from experience. Just the little subtle nuances that people say and think and do when they have relationships with, other characters. It felt genuine.
So they talk about Patch in the beginning for a good while, And I actually, for a bit, I even asked, like, did we see Patch? Like, did we? I didn't notice. I never noticed if we ever got to meet him, and no, we hadn't at that time. When we finally get to meet him, is one of like the best parts of the movie. Is just like they are talking about that they're going away. They're going to. I think were they moving to Japan then?
Yeah.
And so she spent some time with, or no, they weren't going to move into Japan, but they were going somewhere first. I think they
were going to the Galapagos.
They
were going to go on vacation.
Vacation.
And I think she saw
As you
Sophie
do.
slipping
Away.
away from her in that way.
And she had just made fun of him by saying, "Oh, Mister, I gotta go take a leak." And the first thing he says when he walks up, "Oh, I was taking a leak."
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, and he comes in there and he's like, but I liked him at first because he was willing to pay for the most expensive bottle of vodka that she ordered without saying she'd pay for it or whatever. I thought that was kind of rude to just be like randomly say that.
That to me, that was her anxiety. That was her sensing that something was happening and she couldn't do anything about it, and she just kind of wigged out and she was just being herself, and that's what she did.
And it may have been let's see how he reacts to this. Let's see if he's going to react in the way that broke my friend's heart before. Because at the beginning, she's like, I held your head while you were crying over this man.
Right, and
has he made significant changes?
I am not a 3-hour brunch friend.
Right.
I thought that was
that line.
hysterical.
That was a great line. And then she actually said the line that I think is really the theme of their friendship, which was that the part where she says like, I would totally try to love him if you loved him, but you don't love him.
Right.
And she was saying, yeah, I love him. Like she was trying so hard to convince herself that she loved him.
And then all that stuff comes out later on when he kind of shows exactly who he is, and he's yelling at her and calling her names.
I mean, she was drunk and being kind of...
Yeah, but there's still
But there are better ways to do that.
There are better ways to... If it's someone you love.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, I
guess... To be, like, not engage in that moment. To be like, I understand you're drunk, so we're not going to engage.
If you noticed, it wasn't that he was concerned for her or her safety. He was concerned about his image.
Yeah, that she's embarrassing him.
His ego.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things about ego in this movie. You know, a lot of choices that everybody makes because of their... even her going to Paris, I think a lot of that was, like, being invited to go stay at that one place... She thought, you know what? I've got this extra money. Let me go fucking go to Paris.
No, it's not a good decision.
And prove to everybody that I'm fine. I'm fine. I am just fine.
Even though she wouldn't tell her friend, she wouldn't tell her friend that she was in Paris when her friend invited her to the party that night. Like she was like, I can't make it. Why not? I just can't. And like she doesn't say that, so it's kind of...
Both of them, I think, struggled to be honest with themselves and with each other.
Sure.
That nuance of their relationship was very clear.
Which was weird. Like, I mean, you said you have a best friend who's very similar. Yeah. Are you like that at all? Like, are you afraid to be honest with her?
No, not at all. And I think because we I was on the phone with her earlier today, and I was like, if you were mad at me, I'm sure you would tell me, right? And she's like, yeah, I would tell you, but then I'd also be afraid that I'm mad at you, and then now you're mad at me, and then we'd be... And I was like, well, I'm nervous too, so we would just... Both of us would be too nervous to bring it up. It would nullify it. But we've gone into the friendship with just always being so honest with each other that...
And here's the thing, too, this happens especially, I think,
if you really have a bond with someone, you don't want to break that...
It doesn't matter.
You don't want to mess that up by maybe saying something.
But I find that especially younger folks who getting into their first marriage, I think there's this unnecessary pressure that now you're with me, you have to give up that friendship and that thing. And no, that's not true. If you love somebody and that other person makes them happy, let them have it.
Right. Yeah.
You don't need... It's not a threat to you for them to go off and be with their friend and have that relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Sophie really struggles in that. Like, this is what I'm supposed to want, the getting married, the having kids, whatever. And Frances is not doing that. She's doing the non-traditional, quote-unquote, path. And is that going to threaten my relationship in some way? That friendship.
A really bad joke with this, but, was her being with, Patch or being with her... Was that Sophie's choice?
Or was it a patch on her life?
Well, and Meryl Streep's daughter is in this film.
Right.
That's kind of funny. I goes like, I don't know. I don't think that was planned, but that was a happy coincidence.
Well, and then Sophie's married at the end of it, but you can see that she and Francis have reached that equilibrium again,
Right.
where you're still my best friend. I'm still going to support you.
I'm still going to be there for you,
no matter what happens.
Yeah.
And I want to point out, because you know me, I am not a Hollywood happy ending kind of guy. I generally shy away from it because usually it's very forced and it's very saccharine and it's very
that's
contrived.
a Hollywood. This doesn't feel like a Hollywood
This
movie.
was very skillfully done. And you get, I got very, very invested in her character. And I really, really wanted something, towards the end for her to finally work out. And it does. And it's uplifting. It's very positive, and I like that. And I don't run into a whole lot of movies where it works like that for me.
And I think part of why it works is that she doesn't find love or there's no this other person completing her. She's completing herself. Right. She's following that journey all the way through the end.
Yeah, she got to choreograph at the end, and she got to do all the things she wanted to do, but maybe things were holding her back from achieving some of those things. And when she got fired from the Christmas stuff, I felt so bad.
That was of all the rotten luck. I feel like she had a lot of rotten luck.
She did.
In this
luck.
movie.
She did.
And this is not, so if you're watching this and you haven't seen the movie, which
spoiler alert.
Yeah, we always spoil our movies.
But if you're watching this movie, you haven't seen it. The thing I loved about the one thing I really, really, really took away from it was this was like a slice of life kind of movie where it wasn't like a structured movie where there was this, all of a sudden it got down at a certain time, then went up, and then
it wasn't formulaic.
It wasn't formulaic at all. You had no idea what was going on, just like in life. You have no idea if if she's gonna get a new position, or it could have ended where it's all sad and everything.
She was this close from being just a homeless person in the gutter. Really, it could have gone that way.
And her parents were very there for her. She had really good, strong family that cared about her. We heard from them, and she had a very good support system. People were very happy to take her in and help her out whenever they could, because I think everybody just felt sorry for her. She's
she's genuinely likable.
Yeah. And she got out of her own way. She took the clerical desk job during the day in order to enable her to do the things like choreographing. And that's sort of your ego in the own way of no, I'm going to be a dancer. I'm going to do dance, and that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to have the glamorous job like the Rockette, but sometimes that's not what happens.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend who, that dance was her passion. She was going to be a dancer, and the first dance gig she got was in a Sesame Street show in a Sesame Street costume.
Right, so she wasn't able to show herself.
She's not showing her dance skills as much as she could be, but it enabled her to, that was the day job that enabled her to eventually
get the
I completely understand. There were points in my career as an archaeologist where there just wasn't work for that at all, and everybody in my family's like, you're just going to have to give up that dream. I'm like, I'm not doing it. But you find things that fill that gap until a new opportunity comes, and then when the opportunity comes, you grab it, because you never let go of that thing you really, really want, that really motivates you in life.
Mm-hmm.
So I understood that so well.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit off camera about the cinematography, and we both mentioned Jim Jarmusch as this being similar to him in the way he sets up shots, the black and white cinematography. Talk a little bit about that.
It just, like I said before, it felt like Stranger Than Paradise, where it was sort of this. Well, in that movie, it was three friends who were dealing with just their life and their stuff, and this felt like it had a little bit more money. They could afford Adam Driver.
Right.
So for as much as time as he was not in it the whole movie.
This is pre-Star Wars. He was a little cheaper.
Yeah, was it pre-Star Wars?
I think so. Or maybe right about the time he got the first gig.
Yeah, okay.
2013.
I think. Okay, 2013. Yeah, I think 2000. Yeah, I think that was about the time. I think 2014 or so. Anyway, whatever it was, he ended up becoming this bigger star. But in this, they got him. They got like it seemed, and it's funny. I think somebody I know did a Marriage Story. I'm not sure if that was Noah Baumbach.
I think it was Noah Baumbach.
Okay, so that was also Adam Driver.
That movie tears me up.
I know that's not
I haven't seen
that's not the happy movie.
You're gonna cry.
Oh.
Yeah, you're gonna cry.
I already did in this one.
And it's got your girl.
Sorry.
It's got Scarlett
Scarlett
Johansson.
If you want to do that one, I'll come back. It's very
Okay.
good.
Okay.
But it was one of those things where it's these are sort of happy sort of tale, like this one's a happy sort of tale about the stuff, but it's Jim Jarmusch's kind of thing, but it's done, and Noah's done these kind of things since the beginning of independent film stuff that he's done. So I've been a fan of his. One of my favorite movies is The Squid and the Whale, and that is
Still haven't seen that. A lot of people tell me it's really good.
It's fucking amazing, and it's great. Like it's such a good movie, like a good, genuinely good feeling, good movie.
And that's on Criterion too, right?
No, I don't think so. No,
should be.
It should be, but it's not. I think so. The first one I saw of his was not the first one I ever saw. Squid and the Whale was the first one I saw of his, but the one the first movie he made, Kicking and Screaming, is about like post graduate people dealing with how are they going to move on, what are they going to do after college and everything like that. And one of them stays behind and helps, whatever. And it felt like it feels like this movie kind of thing. Like it feels like this is a more grown up.
That's really good. I'm glad to see this because New York City had a really, really good small underground movie creating scene, a film scene for a long time, especially in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And then around 2000, everything just became so expensive there. All the artists had to leave.
Blame the mayor, I guess. I think that's what I heard. Like the mayor changed.
A lot of things.
Stuff,
everything skyrocketed. Everybody who could not afford to live there had to go elsewhere. And the movie scene, unless you're Woody Allen, it pretty much dried up. And so it's nice to see somebody else still being able to utilize the city as a character because it's so effective. And New York City's one of the great cities of the world that you can do that.
I believe that was Kicking and Screaming was set in New York or something. So I believe, could be wrong. It's been a little bit since I've seen it, but that's the thing. I think he is a New Yorker who feels like he should, kind of like Woody Allen. When Woody Allen comes back and does a Woody Allen movie set in New York,
that's his territory.
He's giving his love to the city that like he absolutely adores.
Sure.
And this is a little bit of a love letter. There's a lot of great locations in this movie, and I mean the music is amazing.
Yeah,
so.
I really enjoyed the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
So like everything, I mean Noah did a fantastic job.
We have done a number of movies that showcase New York City. Remember we did Prince of the City, we did Wolfen.
A lot of those were set in the 80s and 70s and stuff where it was a little bit more grungier and dirtier.
But more affordable, and they had a lot more of an artist presence there. That's the bad part about the quote unquote Disneyfication of New York City, where everything got cleaned up, but it also got super expensive and just it's super expensive even now. It's a great place to visit, but I can't imagine living there.
Well, that's what they were talking about in this movie is basically like they said that one place that had I guess 3 rooms or whatever was $4,000 a month, and so she had to pay the $900 or whatever because
it's supposed to be like $1,200, and she's like, I don't have that till the Christmas show.
Oh.
And then she didn't even have that.
And then she didn't have the Christmas show.
So
even though the what it called her boss, whatever she was, said she would.
Yeah, that's.
And she had to walk it back.
Well, I mean, that's the problem of being a dancer and being in the arts.
And being an artist.
Being in the arts.
When you're a writer, one of our favorite bad screenwriters or whatever was Ed Wood, and what he was notorious for was he would go out and he would write movies or whatever. He would write these little things, but then he would have to go into unemployment and go and seek unemployment, and he'd have to write, I'm a screenwriter. That's what my sort of occupation was, and I can't get any work right now.
Right, and Frank, artists are the original gig workers. They have to go job to job to job to job in order to survive, to be able to afford to be able to do the thing that inspires them and they, artists typically tend to be the kind of people who can't really fit in and do the other kinds of jobs that society
being a
demands.
poor.
Yeah, you have to sometimes do that, even though they're not built for that. They're built to follow their inspiration.
Yeah. Everybody kept calling her a waitress, and she was like, "No, I'm just a poor."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny.
Yeah, it was cute. But then she, of course, tells the girl she's doing it ironically, and she's telling Sophie she's doing it ironically. Because,
so that's part of the reason I have a lot of, I'm really rooting for her. Is she's an artist. She's an actual artist, and artists should be allowed to pursue their art.
Yeah. I agree.
Side note: we should look up the choreographer on the credits and give them credits because the choreographer was very good. Whoever they hired for the modern pieces, they were good.
It's possible. There is a booklet inside the Criterion thing. I don't know whether you're familiar with Criterion. They sort of champion the best in cinema, and it's usually the highest possible transfer, and they usually bring you all kinds of stuff. I know that there's extras in here. Let me see.
Because that's one thing that I think I will get on my soapbox for a minute, which is that choreographers are often not credited. And they're so key to movies even that aren't musicals like this one. If you have any sort of dance element in your movie and you have to hire a choreographer to make it look good, you need a real good choreographer.
Well, this comes with a new high-definition digital transfer with all kinds of the top-of-the-line sound as well. There's a conversation between Peter Bogdanovich and Noah Baumbach. That's probably very interesting. Another one with Sarah Polley. I love Sarah Polley, and Greta Gerwig. That would be interesting. And then one with Baumbach and photographer Sam Levy. That's interesting. And then the guy who did the color mastering, Pascal Darwin. All kinds of stuff. Yeah, there's the booklet.
There's the booklet.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to see if it had anything. It just talks about the movie. It doesn't actually.
And it's probably someone who is uncredited because they very rarely put them in the credits.
We will put that in our little section there, saying who the choreographer is. So unfortunately, it does not say. It doesn't even say in.
Yep, and that's fairly typical.
Yeah, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, which stinks because
why is color? I mean, no offense, color mastering is great because of the black and white, but they should at least have put the. They have production designer and director of photography, Sam Levy.
I mean, they didn't even credit the choreographer in Showgirls.
Well, it's industry practice, and I wish it would change because there are so many good choreographers that people have never heard of.
Especially when it's about dance.
Yeah.
Right.
This is a movie about dance. So, I mean, it's not all about dance. But
but she's a dancer. That's an integral part of her identity.
Yeah.
She fights so hard for that over taking the other jobs until she gets closer to the end because it's such an integral part of her identity.
There's another movie I think you would like if you haven't already seen it. It's Cotton Club.
I have not seen that.
It's a great film. It's kind of underappreciated. It's Francis Ford Coppola, but Gregory Hines is in it. And they get to do a number of really cool dance scenes that are up there. It's really
good. Put it on
good.
the list.
Who's in that other than Gregory Hines? Because
I
feel like that's
all kinds of people.
Like
are
Wesley
in
Snipes, wasn't he in it?
I don't think Wesley Snipes was in it.
Is
no.
it a Criterion?
Bob Hoskins is in it.
One,
we could probably do it for another. We do another show called
Film
Freaks.
I'll come exclusively for the dance movies.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I think you would very much enjoy it. Richard Gere was probably the biggest star in that one.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I was not surprised that you picked this movie when you thought I would be. But
it's a little quirky. I love quirky characters. I love quirky films.
Except The Graduate, which
yeah.
I don't understand why not, but whatever.
Yeah.
Anywho,
because they didn't feel that way about Dustin Hoffman as I did for Greta Gerwig's character.
Oh, if it were a girl, you would have, if The Graduate was a female, you would have maybe changed your mind.
Or maybe if Dustin Hoffman's acting was better.
There you go.
Dustin Hoffman, have you seen it? He's in The Graduate.
I've seen parts of The Graduate.
I love The Graduate.
Mrs. Robinson, are you putting a pass on me? Oh, please.
That was a great shot.
It's not that I think it's a bad movie. I just think it's a little much. I think it's a little overrated.
Yeah,
Lord.
I would agree.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, me and John.
I'm here to gang up on you.
Where me and John Ward are gonna be staring at you like.
That's all right.
Yeah, I want to be Francis this summer though, exclusively in like t-shirt dresses and leggings. Like, I think whoever did the costuming also made some smart choices there, because she does dress like a dancer.
Right.
That's very much like, oh, I can take the shirt dress off and have a sports bra underneath and leggings and go right into dance
And
class.
what I love about it, and I don't know whether the Greta Gerwig did this herself or if it was discussed with her and Noah Baumbach, but the fact that she's a dancer and does these really cool moves, but at the same time is kind of awkward and doesn't really run properly, and it kind of stands weird, you know?
She gets all these bruises.
Yes,
and other
Yeah.
stuff.
I
She cut
love
herself.
that fact. That's just like such a fun little contrast.
She's a dancer who's not quite aware of her body.
Yes.
Yeah, she's a dancer who's accident prone.
It helps define her character and makes her interesting and unique, and I really dug that.
And because when people write scripts, especially something that's in depth as this one, and generally the two people come together to come up with the idea for the characters, they have to basically find character traits and everything like that for every single character they bring, right? So say, we've got Frances, who's got these little quirks and these little things, and then we got Sophie, and she's she's definitely that character, that one guy who kept calling the girls undateable or whatever.
Oh,
Benji,
aka Joe Maisel from The Marvelous Miss Maisel. That's what I just see in my head when I see him.
he was wonderful, but he was a character. Every single thing he
Ahoy,
said.
sexy.
No, that was the other guy.
That
That was
was
Adam Driver. That was Adam Driver who said that. But then she said that to the random girl.
It was so fun.
Yeah, she was trying so hard to make Rachel into Sophie that she's like, let me just make it work.
I've been dying to say that to anybody, but I don't know very many people who would catch the reference.
But and even if they don't, they'll just be like, "That's Paul."
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
He just called over to the museum one day, just to anybody that picked up the phone, like Miss Helen in the front desk.
Or a guy picks up the phone, you'd be like, "Oh,
Ahoy,
hi,
sexy."
Zach picks up, and you're just like, ahoy. I would love it. I would love to see his face. I'd watch it on the camera.
And they'll be like, "That's just Paul being Paul."
Well, and the other thing is that you get the feeling that both Greta and Noah probably know characters like this, and that's usually a strength of writers, is when you can pull certain characteristics from people that you know, and it just feels genuine, and you put it into either a new character or a character that's similar, and that's what you're doing. You're taking them up, you're winding them up, and then you're letting them go, and they kind of already have what they're going to do baked into them because you know them so well. And you know what I mean?
I find with Greta, there's always like one moment in all of her films that's just so very Greta that you can pick it out. Like when she's in the dinner party, she's talking about what she wants with love, and it's somebody whose eyes meet you across the room, and it's a parallel universe, and no one can see that it's happening. And that little monologue that she does there, I'm like, that's the Greta Gerwig essence of this moment of this film.
And I love that because she also talked about not just love but life.
Yeah,
that's what she wants out of life.
That's what she wants out of life.
And I love the fact that she's explaining it to the other folks, and they're all kind of like,
They're like,
they don't get it.
They're like, why are we talking about this?
Yes.
What brought this on?
Yeah, this became like a monologue that she kind of just did.
And it explains her, and it also explains her non-relationship with everybody else.
Yeah.
Because they don't quite get it.
Nobody
Her
catches.
friend gets it.
And then at the end, when her and Sophie, their eyes meet across the room, you said, who you're gawking at. I'm like, it's the moment. The moment she was talking about earlier.
She got the parallel. Yeah, I never thought about that. That's great.
Yeah, and she had it with her friend, which I think is so impactful.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's an example. And what do we talk about all the time about films that just don't put forth the effort into writing?
Yeah.
That's where you put all your effort, and that's what carries the film, is good writing.
Yeah, you did not need your continuity monkey for this movie.
No, there was no unnecessary bickering, and just, it all felt like everything was needed. Every bit of dialogue, every scene.
Yeah, there was no drama for the sake of drama.
No throwaway stuff, I couldn't think of really anything that needed to be tightened up. No. The pacing was good. It held my interest throughout the entire time,
I knew toward the end, when it was coming to the end, that's why I asked you guys, like, was this because it just felt
there was a subtle change.
There was this thing where I was like, okay, she's sort of kind of getting what she wants now.
Yeah, she kind of hit bottom, and now she's starting to come back up.
And she's getting what she wants now. All of a sudden, it's coming to the conclusion, which it was the perfect conclusion. She got the girl, for the day or whatever, and then the girl went to Sophie went to the funeral. even though she didn't want her to. She wanted her to stay with her, whatever. But she went, and then she just continued on with her life till she got the gig doing choreography.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, she's, it's her life is like.
And it's a thing for me because you guys make fun of me all the time because I always feel bad about the final girls or the girls who get killed in these horror movies that we do so much, and it just makes me feel rotten. Well, now I got a movie where I didn't feel rotten. I actually felt good because it all worked out for her in the end, and it made me happy.
Yeah, and she remained her authentic self, like choreographing out in the middle of the street, like doing that sort of back choreography she was doing when she was falling backwards.
It gives you hope for all of us non-traditional, weird, quirky people out there.
So you're saying, like, because, in the movie Clerks, at the end of the movie, it just ends with him throwing the sign away or whatever and saying you're closed or whatever. But in the the special features, you see a deleted alternate ending where a guy comes over and shoots Dante in the head at the end.
That's awful.
That was supposed to be the original ending of the film. And then the guy who's selling the movie tells director Kevin Smith, you need to cut that because because nobody wants to see that after they've spent so much time like loving this character and caring about this character. They just want to see it end on kind of a happy note, and this is what this movie ended on. And he only got that because he watched Do the Right Thing, and it ended on like a tragedy. That's a drama. That's how it's supposed to end. Clerks in this movie, Frances Ha, is a comedy.
Right.
This, it should end on something nice happening.
Should end up.
Yeah, it should end up, and it did.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of want a Frances Ha too.
I know.
Where is she now?
Yeah, 10 years later, maybe she has a daughter
now,
or something, or
And I don't want her to be like a famous choreographer. I still want her to be getting by making good art.
Actually, I don't even want her getting by. She's like lost it again, and like she now has to get it back again, know, and everything. But now in her 30s,
and that's life is very.
I don't know. I'm kind of happy with the idea that it ends up, and it leaves me to my imagination, and I could see her happily ever after. This is a movie that wouldn't
get a sequel. I'm just joking.
Yeah,
but this does not get a sequel.
It's Greta Gerwig, if you're watching, we want Frances Ha too.
But by the way, I don't know whether you noticed, but he and I are both big Kevin Smith fans. So
I was catching on.
Yeah. We've covered just about everything.
Pretty much.
Even the adjacent stuff.
Almost all the adjacent
the View
stuff,
Askew-averse, as we call it.
But it's good stuff. But this, I mean, Noah sort of came out after Kevin Smith, like in 98, I think is when, or so, was when Kicking and Screaming came out. So it sort of, he became like, sort of, because his movies are kind of the movies you like,
And it's funny because you've said this to me about him before, and I didn't really pick up on it because I'm kind of down on a lot of the younger filmmakers because they just don't. I don't know. Most of them just don't do stuff that I have much interest in, other than people like Guillermo del Toro and some other exceptions. But this is a guy I clearly need to give more attention to.
Right. And I mean, like we said, they did Barbie together, which was a big Hollywood movie. And that's probably, I want to say that was the biggest movie that they've ever been attached to.
Yeah, I think so.
Because this movie and A Marriage Story and she did a...
She
did Lady Bird. And that was pretty big.
And Little Women.
And Little Women.
And I love that in each of those, there's those Greta moments. And in Barbie, you think because it's this big commercial film, because there's so many stakeholders beyond the two of them.
Right.
There's some parts of the movie where you're like, okay, this train is off the track, and you can tell that we don't know where we're going with it. But then they come back to those moments, those very human moments that are throughout the movie that are just so good.
That's good. I think you touched on the thing that has also kind of kept me away is that, Moody can tell you I'm not really a commercial Hollywood person. So it's good to hear that there's still some of that in a commercial movie.
I don't think you're ever going to not get that from Greta.
Yeah, no. She's involved, then it's going to be there.
It's going to have that. So it's even if it's a big time movie with like Will Ferrell, or whatever, it's still going to have that, have that stuff. So
and sometimes movies come along and they kind of take the place by storm and people were not expecting it. I'm thinking Pretty Things, or not Pretty Things.
Pretty Woman.
No,
No.
Pretty Things, I think is.
Pretty Little Liars. I don't
No.
The big one that's out there now, the sort of reimagination
Little Things, something like that. Something like that. Whatever it is.
Is it Sad Things? I forget.
I thought it was Pretty
Small
Things, but
Pretty Things.
I don't know.
Pretty Things.
Small pretty thing. Yeah, no.
Whatever.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's
It's
the
on tip of my
Frankenstein
tongue.
kind of movie. Or whatever.
Yes, I have cow brain. I have terminal cow brain at this point.
Lisa Frankenstein?
No, that's a different movie.
Wrong Frankenstein.
Rock and roll Frankenstein. That's
No.
that's it.
But
Wrong
anyway,
Frankenstein.
yeah. But so yeah. Well, I mean, those movies come out. A lot of them are A24. A24
Yeah,
puts these
yeah,
things
yeah.
out. I don't think A24 put this one out.
No.
Which is, I mean, Criterion sometimes works with.
Yeah, I don't know that they. Okay, IFC Films.
IFC Films put it
Yeah.
out. Okay. So
that makes sense.
That makes sense. They're sort of, especially, well, IFC Films and A24 both love black and white movies, which you're not really going to see generally.
Yeah, that's something when I first watched it. I kept waiting for like the Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz Technicolor moment where like, oh, when we reach that turning point where things start to go up, maybe it'll be in color.
Yeah.
And it never goes to that. And I think it's good that it never does that.
Well, I think the thing that is happening these days is that kids, Gen Z and whatnot, and don't like black and white, generally, because they just aren't.
Don't understand that.
Their parents didn't like black and white,
Don't
or whatever.
understand that.
Well, you don't understand that because the Gen X is the parents. So you like it, but some Gen X people don't like black and white.
I mean, you tell me they're not going to watch an Akira Kurosawa film just because it's black and white?
Maybe not.
Some of the greatest movies ever created were in black and white. And some really good modern movies are made because you can do things with the tonality in black and white that you can't do in color.
Yeah, we were talking about The Artist. I love that movie.
Yeah, but if the artists were in color, I think it would have lost its.
I mean,
I agree.
There are some people who refuse to watch a movie that's subtitled or dubbed. Usually it's because they have trouble hearing it or something like that. So I kind of understand a little bit.
They don't have the patience to read.
Usually that's what it is. They don't want to have to read.
Well, I mean, I'm deaf in my left ear, so I love subtitles because there's sometimes I can't hear what.
We should have switched places.
No, it was fine. It was fine. But the thing, I could hear perfectly fine. Actually, I was actually probably closer to the stereo, so I was good. But the thing was, in the like we watched a Akira Kurosawa film, and they had it in black and white, and the subtitles were pure white, so it blended in with the thing. We could not read it. However, they did it for this one was much better.
We didn't have that problem with High and Low, fortunately.
No, that was the movie.
That was the one? I thought, okay, so...
That was a Akira Kurosawa film that had the...
I thought it was Seven Samurai.
No, Seven Samurai, we actually...
That's unusual, because normally they are with that black bar to sort of help distinguish.
Usually, yeah.
So, I mean, this one, subtitles were perfect, so I could read everything that was going on if I couldn't hear it exactly or whatever.
It's just always nice, because sometimes, even somebody who's got perfect hearing, I don't hear things exactly like what's being said.
Well, and that's another filmmaking point too, is I've noticed it's a trend in more movies to have people that when they're serious, they're talking like this.
Yeah.
And it's very low and like, this is my serious low voice. And it's like, no, we need the audio somehow. My biggest complaint is Game of Thrones. When they're all serious, they're all... And I'm like, what are you saying?
When they're not having Starbucks cups.
When they're not having Starbucks, they're mumbling or whispering. And I get it. You're trying to keep secrets, and it's part of the thing.
You're
but
never
going
gonna
to
live that down.
Hear it.
Serious Game of Thrones fan. Okay.
Well,
Finding out a little bit more about you.
I watched it a bit. Everybody watched it and read the books.
Yeah.
So I read the books and watched it. And I will say I liked some parts of the books and some parts of the TV show better than others. But we're not here to talk about that.
I know. We do little asides. That's one of our things.
Yeah, we end up going off topic a lot.
Yeah.
Usually Jen's the one who says, "But on topic, stay on topic."
Or John Ward.
I'll be Jen. Stay on topic. Francis Ha. Greta Gerwig.
Yay.
Yeah.
But I think we pretty much have covered just about everything for this particular film, other than to say, this is out in Criterion. It's really, really well done. It looked gorgeous.
Yeah, it's lovely.
The sound was
Photographed
great.
really well.
Everything was good. Go out and pick yourself up a copy of Francis Ha.
What did you say? So you said there's a new conversation between Peter Bogdanovich and Baumbach. That's cool. New conversation with Sarah, Polly, and Greta Gerwig. So
And I love
it's
Sarah
guy. It seems
Yeah.
like with guy and guy, girl and girl. That's kind of cool. And then new conversation about the look of Frances Ha. So you get a little bit of the cinematographer.
Yeah, you almost always get all kinds of fun, interesting extras.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Criterion.
And I sort of like, speaking of the look of her character, Frances goes from, her friend Sophie says, well, she's kind of a mess, and she's got kind of the messy bun hair at the beginning, and at the end she's a little bit more coiffed, but she's still her.
No.
And I think they made really smart choices throughout the movie with that to sort of show her progression in even how she looks.
Right. It's a bit of a hot mess, and I kind of like that. It's endearing.
Yeah.
Well, she's just herself.
just
She's
herself.
not afraid to be a hot mess. Some people. This is what I get talks about all the time about women. A lot of women won't be in front of a camera unless they're completely full of makeup and everything.
Because I didn't know if we were going to be videoed or not. I was like, I put my hair nice because I wasn't sure.
Exactly. But had you come in complete hot mess, we wouldn't have cared. We're
well,
okay
because
with that.
also we wouldn't have seen you as a hot mess.
Well,
we would have just. I mean, it's just we're just where we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but
we don't have the same societal pressures to look
Yeah.
a certain way that women do.
There was a screenwriting coach that taught me basically that if you look at everybody as social media, right? Everybody will clean their room up before they take the picture. I do
don't.
that. I do that. But most people will do that before they take the picture because they don't want people to see the real them, right? And stuff. And so this movie is showing the real her. But she doesn't do that. The only time she sort of lied was to her best friend, in which that lie was a couple lies, like her being in Paris when she couldn't have made it and not telling her where she was at, or her saying, oh no, I got this gig doing this stuff to be ironic because but I still have that other stuff. She didn't have that other stuff. She got fired, but she wouldn't tell her friend that because she was sort of embarrassed to tell her that. But anybody else asked her this stuff, she was like, I'm a poor. I don't care. I don't care about you guys. I only care about my best friend and how my best friend. We forgot to mention the boyfriend in the beginning of the movie.
Oh yeah. The thing that sort of sets it on.
Dan.
We forgot to talk about Dan.
Yeah.
Dan.
Well, he's forgettable.
He's pretty forgettable.
Kind of a
He's
dope.
because he's in the very beginning of the movie and then never talked about later, at all.
I'm going to get these 2 cats. She's like, I'm allergic to cats. Why are you getting 2 of them?
And I like that he's already put a down payment
Right.
on the cat.
Right.
She was like, I'll give you $200 not to get the cats. And I thought that was cute. And then she's telling him, well, I guess if we're breaking up, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, why would you be single? Or whatever. And she's
like, why would I be single? And she's like, you just
awkward.
said this isn't working, so.
Yeah. And so he was like,
next logical step.
The next logical step isn't break up, but.
But.
Yeah, I think the reason that she lies to her friend is that her friend is her most direct mirror. So I think she's almost waiting for her friend to call her out on it.
Mm-hmm.
And when she doesn't, I guess you should maybe taken aback by it. But yeah, that would be like, if I could lie to my best friend, then I can lie to myself and it'll be fine and everything's fine. But normally,
but the other girl does.
But the other girl doesn't go, I know you're not fine. What's going on?
Right.
So I think their journey together, Sophie and Frances, throughout the movie is also really compelling.
Yeah. And I'm just so pleased that she's pretty much herself and allowed to be herself, and no matter how goofy or weird or off-putting it is. I mean, I'm the same way, and I can't tell you how many people are always like, if I go to meet someone else and they're like, don't talk about cows the first time you meet someone. They're going to think you're weird. Change your picture and get rid of the cow stuff. I'm like, but I got to be me.
You got to be you.
So
that's what Frances Ha 2 is about Sophie. I want to know what's going on with
her. There you go.
Sophie's continual growth.
Yeah, so Sophie Ha.
Sophie Ha.
Sophie's bad choice.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing because, I think the best friend is sort of like the perfect relationship that she seeks out. But if a man wrote this, if a man had actually just wrote it, not Noah, because I think
Yeah.
Noah is different,
Yeah.
but like a lot of other like men who wrote this movie, they wouldn't understand the relationship between two women, and they
Yeah.
wouldn't be able. Like, I'm so glad Greta co-wrote it,
Yeah.
because
Oh, yeah.
I think she brought that. She was able to have that. Maybe she has a best friend who sort of is her Sophie, who she can be weird and quirky around, because all her movies are like Lady Bird is a quirky movie.
Yeah.
It is a
I was
quirky
gonna
movie.
say Greta does that so well. She explores those relationships between women so beautifully. In all
And
of
I
her
like
films.
that. I just wish we got to see more of her. But Mickey Sumner, who did a great job as Sophie, I
Yeah, I
would
was
love to
gonna say-
find out what happened. I haven't
Yeah.
really seen very much of
Yeah,
her
no.
since this.
Yeah.
You know, it's curious to me. I don't know if she's done other things. I guess I could have researched that a little bit more. But
It'd be funny if that is really her best friend.
Yeah.
You know,
Could
and
very well
stuff,
be.
and they were
Yeah.
just making, whatever, because like, I mean, they felt genuinely like they were best friends and stuff.
well, you'll have to contact Greta Gerwig and get her on our spotlight
yeah,
show.
yeah, I'll get right on that. Like, that's just a nice call I can
we
make.
do get people on our spotlight
What's
show.
the budget for that? Do you think Greta will also be bribed with pizza as easily as I
That's
will?
probably. Well, maybe we don't think we have good New York pizza like they
Good
have
New York
up there.
Yeah, I don't think we could probably afford to fly her. Well, Paul might do it just if we got her. He would. We could put you up, Greta. And everything. Bring Noah, because we would love to
Yeah.
talk to him too.
Yeah.
Like,
I was just thinking a Zoom thing. We do Zoom
Yeah, that would be
interviews
fun.
Oh God.
from time to time, but
And-
it's B people, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Not just unfortunately. That's our thing. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
we don't get top shelf people.
Well, I mean, we've got some pretty cool people.
We
that,
have.
We got Charlie Sheen's uncle on our show.
That's right. Joe
you go.
Estevez, baby.
Joe Estevez. But yeah, I don't know. We really enjoyed watching this movie.
It was fun.
And
Yeah, thanks for inviting me, guys.
Yeah.
You bet.
thank you
for coming. That
for
it was
coming.
nice. It was really good having you.
Absolutely. I will come back for any and all dance films, anything related to Jane Austen or period dancing. I'm here.
Okay,
All right.
sounds good.
No zombies, no horror.
unless it's Pride and Prejudice versus zombies.
I will do that one,
Okay.
yes.
What about a horror? What about zombie dancers? That'd be fun.
Yeah, they have to be dressed in the Michael Jackson Thriller outfits, though. It's a
Okay.
prerequisite.
Sounds good. Well, thank you all for joining us, and please come next time for another episode of Criterion Watch for Indie Film Cafe. Thank you.
Nah,
See you on the flip side.
he does say that in the movie,
I
doesn't
know,
Yeah.
he does.
he?
Had to
Someone
say
has
it.
to flip off screen now.
Being with us.
Oh.
This is amazing.
I'm excited.
I'm so pleased.
I'm excited, too. Gives me something to do on a Sunday afternoon.
All right, are we rolling?
We're rolling.
Fade out.
Third.
Fade to black.
Now, normally I have a little stuffed monkey that squeaks. It's a sock monkey. He's
Nice.
a continuity monkey, and he's used whenever there's a continuity error, and there's a lot of them in the movies we do. But these are good movies, so
Yeah,
we
it
don't
should be
really
okay.
we don't really need him.
You know, as they say, close enough for government work.
Close enough for government work. We'll
Let me
do
go
a
grab
dance
my
about it.
drink. Holy shit.
Come on, Moody. Dance your way over here.
I have your assurances I'm not going to be asked to dance on camera.
No. No.
Yep.
I don't do flips. It's not happening.
I bet you did at one point.
No.
No?
No flips.
Oh, okay.
Well, no, I lied. I did do a backflip when I was doing swing dance.
See, you're not entirely flipless.